To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gallop Out. Yes, you just saw my face on this screen as we just wrapped up with Eric DeCoster, and now it's time for show number 2. It's time to go over the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf and the Breeders' Cup Classic, and I get to be joined by a first-time guest on the show. I joined her for an ABR show a little while ago with Dan Torsman. That was a ton of fun, and I've been looking forward to getting her back on my airwaves ever since then. It is Racing Rachel McLaughlin. Rachel, how are you?
I'm great. We just finished up the thoroughbred portion of our card, and now we got a quarter horse race, and then I'm going to trivia tonight with my friends.
There we go. Trivia at a bar, I imagine?
Yep. It's right here in Shelbyville. I go with a couple of trainers and horsemen. We go on Tuesdays because that's the night that I don't have my kids with me. One night I get free. I go and play trivia. It was really fun. We got second last time, so everyone hope that I get to the wire tonight first.
There we go. Hope you get your nose down in front. Fingers crossed for you. Trivia aside, what are your thoughts on this very difficult 14-race Breeders' Cup card where we're going to talk about 2 premier races in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf and the Breeders' Cup Classic?
You know, you picked a really good one. I got to give a shout out to Ryan because I was telling him I am so busy with Indiana racing, and he just said, I look up here on Fox or on FanDuel. This year, I've actually been on the Breeders' Cup voting panel for the last, I want to say 5 years, and I really love doing it, but with everything that I do, and they switched the voting to be due like right in the middle of me trying to get everything started here on a Monday. I finally told him, I was like, man, I love being on this, but I just can't do it. It's too much work. And I feel like I'm not doing enough research. So I have not looked at much at all. I read the Pollock report and I see stories on it and stuff, but I hadn't done a lot of my own research. And Ryan's like, Gordon Pass is in that Juvenile. And I was like, dude, perfect. I don't even have to pick which race I like and go over all of them. I already like this one. There's a horse that won at Indiana. So I don't know. What do you think about this race? I mean, it's obviously a long shot, but when I looked at it, it's one of those races that you could make a case for a lot of them in here. I feel like there's not one that super stands out other than Riley Mott's horse coming out of a grade 1. But then you go through the rest of them, and it's kind of like grade 2s, grade 3s. Mine obviously is a big step up, but the Kentucky Downs race with the 2, Ben Colebrook's horse. I mean, yeah, that was a really expensive race, but you can't really judge Kentucky Downs. It's so weird with all the money they have. So I don't know. That's why I loved that you brought up Gordon Pass, because I rides on him, and I went back and looked at that race. I printed out actually the sheet, and I was looking, at how it was like a little press and made a bid there in the quarter. But I went and watched the replay that I sent for you. So that horse, just to do my own version of Maggie Wolfendale, he looked so confident in that race. If you guys watch this, watch what I'm talking about on the backside. When they get on the backside of the grass, if you watch the way, like if you're a bettor and you're less know about like horses, if you watch the way this guy's head is moving compared to everyone else's, like he just looks like he's like, yeah, I'm the crap. I'm going to win this race. Like his head is forward. He's taking really confident strides. The other ones are kind of like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? And he's just like, nah, I'm good. So I thought this was such a confident win. And this is a big step up, but crazier things has happened. Look at the way he's moving. Look how strong he looks. Look at him. I mean, and then this horse behind him, just, you can tell by the way he's moving that he's just like very confident about his run. So crazier things has happened in these juvenile races. I just love that he won here, and super looking forward to. I get that there's a lot of speed on the outside, so his numbers haven't been that great compared to the group, but definitely an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And this is an actual live long shot that I like in here. I really like Gordon Pass. And I'll explain why I don't like the favorite in Stad, the horse that drew number 14 for Aidan O'Brien. But you can see here, I mean, obviously breaking the maiden Indy and then going to a Breeders' Cup, that's a very tough ask. But you can see as they come down the lane here, he clearly let himself, extend that stride. You mentioned on the backside, I think you said it in a very PG way, but he was running like he knew he was the shit, and he won like it too. So, you can see
like he knew it was the shit. I'm not going to miss out on cussing.
No, you don't have to on this show. This show has absolutely no rules. So, Gordon Pass, you can see an opponent came up to him and he immediately, he dug in, he was very game. And then what I like, because again, winning at Indy, obviously you guys are a great track and a lot of good trainers. Hey, Brad Cox, Will Walden, Steve Asmussen have some very good horses go through there to just kind of get them started. Then Will Walden goes right into the grade 2 Bourbon at Keeneland next time out, where we see a few others in here. Final score would have certainly been a little bit low on the morning line, maybe in that 5-1 range. Oh, sorry, we don't need to hear Kurt Becker quite yet. But look at the 8 horse, 52-1, first of all. But second is going to have a bit of a rough start as they kind of get things going. Obviously, he's going to be shuffled to the back here. He's going to be a little bit wide. I guess we don't need to watch our second full race of the program here already. But Gordon Pass, to say the least, had a little bit of trouble. Not, nothing astronomical, but enough where he was way farther out of it than he was in that second time out race at Indy where he broke his maiden. And he still came with a really nice late charge. Something I always pay attention to in route races on the grass is that final fraction where they finish. And you can see Gordon Pass finish the fast Gordon Pass, not Gordon's Pass. That caused us some confusion earlier on, Rachel. Gordon Pass.
I was like, dude, I don't even know my own horses that have run here. It's been 120 of 130 days, and I'm like, dude, I'm probably fried. Ryan's probably right. But yeah, no S.
No S, just Gordon Pass. But you can see, came home in 29.09. That was the fastest of the group, and this is a 52-1 shot. I like to see that. Yes, he was far out the back, so he technically had the most run left in the tank, but he still closed really nicely. And for a 2-year-old not to get discouraged being that far back after kind of pressing the pace last time out, I like to see that kind of maturity. That coupled with the fact that he has had massive buyer improvements in each race. Another jump forward of that same progression in that 10 to 12 range puts him right near the buyer par of 86 that you need. So I do think Gordon Pass can take a huge step forward. And then when you look at the jockey booking of Irad Ortiz, that has to give you all the confidence in the world. Anytime you get Irad at 20-1, you should just blindly bet that horse and be happy about it.
Totally agree. And I will add on to your point that you just made there. I have a 3-year-old. I just gelded him, and I rode him for the first time last weekend. And I will tell you that something new or weird that happens to them affects them way more the first time and when they're young than it does when they're older. So good on you for noticing that. It wasn't a huge deal, but to young horses like this, he's only done this. That was only the 3rd time he's ever done that. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of people, they're just like, oh, it's a racehorse. They're ready when they're 2. They can run, whatever. He's a baby still, he's 2 years old. So I got bucked off for opening a beer on him like an idiot. Like, hello, he's never heard a beer be cracked before. I'm not on my 5-year-old. So yeah, I got thrown off. I got kicked in the leg. And so I've learned that it doesn't matter how big of a deal it looked like. It could have been a pretty big deal to him. And for him to overcome that, and to your other point, just to agree with you, for him to go from freaking 5th by 5.5 lengths and close just in that final stretch that much was impressive. I just read the notes. I didn't get a chance to watch that one, but I read on Equibase, the kind of synopsis of the race. And yeah, he definitely was bothered and he took it like a champ. And you're right. An improving horse, I always credit Tom Amis with this. An improving horse is a dangerous horse. And like you said, every single effort, that speed gets better. It gets higher by many. So definitely good points there. And I love it. I'm definitely betting on this one for sure. And I bet we will get a return. He'll get so ignored because it's the little old Indiana maiden breaker.
That's right. He'll get ignored on the board, even with Irad aboard. Irad probably booked to ride Final Score in this spot. Final Score is not going to run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile that was announced a little while ago. Final Score was up on the lead as well in that effort. And Turf Star was sitting in third pretty much the entire race on a pretty good trip. Gordon Pass made up a ton of ground, passed everybody else in the race, besides the two that were up towards the front end of the pace, and a pace that relatively held together towards the end. They didn't go all that fast up front. So this is a horse that I certainly think can take another big step forward, and I hope he factors. We'll talk about the favorite real quick in Stad, and I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about the European horses when they come over here.
I don't either.
That's what I have friends Emmett Kennedy and Davey Lane for. Davey Lane was on the HHH Racing podcast, as was Emmett Kennedy, and then Emmett Kennedy joined me on my channel as we talked for about 2.5 hours, which arguably is probably too long for anybody to talk about horses, but I just went on his show yesterday for another 2.5 hours. So maybe it's not.
Dang, you guys are committed.
We are committed, and we just love to talk horses and drink beer all day. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Says the girl that on Thursday she's literally on Fox 1 through 5, and then on our channel 6 through 8. So I talk for horse racing for more than 2 hours. So I'm just glad that I'm not the only weirdo here. You
are not the only one, and that is a certainty. We talked about Stad in here, and Emmett was letting me know. He obviously follows it as closely as you follow Indy, as closely as I follow Del Mar. He follows the European races. So this is a guy whose opinion I really trust. He said that this horse had some excuses that finished second in the last 3 efforts in those grade 1s, but they weren't necessarily, like this horse got checked or this horse clipped heels or anything major. It was just this horse maybe, got run down a little bit late. This horse was the favorite in all 3 of those grade 1s and couldn't get the job done. A true favorite, a true real grade 1 animal is going to win at least one of those, preferably, 2 or 3 of them if they really are the big deal and they really are deserving of a 9-5 morning line favorite in this race. Add on top of that, they got to stretch out this horse out from 7 furlongs now to a mile, which typically for the Europeans, not a huge deal, just because the going they run over there is so rough and they, it's a pretty challenging run over there. Mm-hmm. You can typically stretch that an extra furlong, especially at a track like Del Mar, where they're going to feel their hooves rattle and or hear their hooves rattle, and they're running over basically a putting green out here.
Yeah.
So I'm less worried about the stretch out in distance, but post position 14, coupled with the fact that this horse seemingly should have won a few of those races where he's finished in second, failed as the heavy favorite. Not to mention 2 of those were to long shots that ran him down, which makes me think, maybe a bit of a vulnerable favorite and maybe a 2-year-old in a route race for the first time in the United States that I would like to play against. So I think Gordon Pass makes a ton of sense. I think there's some others in here maybe drawn towards the inside that make a little bit of sense as well. Botus, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this one, who's done most of his running up in New York, but this is a very talented one. Last time held off the charge from Here's Johnny and really dug in and was really game down the stretch, along with Let's Be Frank, who was also in that race a little farther behind them. Here's Johnny drew the rail. There's a chance Here's Johnny could maybe, flip the tables on Botus, with Botus being drawn post position 12. But I will say Botus really dug in, pinned his ears, and wanted to get that nose down first on the wire last time out. So maybe he's a bit of a more game horse.
If you look, I just noticed that horse right before when I was, going through the race. And if you look at the running lines for that race, he stuck on the inside both times and still won. You kind of got to either question, is he going to like being on the outside here, or did he win because he was on the inside? And that does give which I think is pretty much your point. Here's Johnny, maybe the little bit of an edge because he was on the inside in all of his races. He's drawn 3 or inside of that. So yeah, that's going to be a big question mark. I hope you're right. And I hope that, that he just goes out the 12 and ends up loving being on the outside, just romps, because that would be hilarious. But yeah, that one's going to get some definite action. I just like the name of the 13. I just want to say, hey, nay, nay. Like, that's awesome. Coming out of a grade 3. That one looks
the hometown horse as well.
Yeah. That's one of yours. We both have a hometown horse in here. That's so cute.
We do.
I will say something about the running lines for the European, because I'm just like you. John tells me everything that's going on in European. John Dooley, our track announcer, for those who don't know, but I teach a wagering 101 to like I sell sponsorships and stuff. So I'll teach wagering 101 to groups sometimes, or some of my, sponsors that come in. I always remind myself when I'm reading the lines on the Euro, that's probably what people who've never seen a program are like feeling like when I'm trying to tell them what these little numbers in this line mean. Because I was just, while you were talking about it, I was like, towards in art, side, midfield, near side, okay, smooth headway, and led GP over 2 furlongs. And then it says out, and there's a colon and a L. Like, it's like gibberish to me. So I'm sure that when other people read a normal one, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the Euros. I never know which ones are going to fire, but I know for a fact I always watch Aiden O'Brien's, obviously. And the one time I went to Breeders' Cup just for a little bit of fun for the show, my buddy Damon Thayer had an extra ticket, and it was at Aiden O'Brien's group. So I got to sit up there with all the Irishmen, and it was so much fun. Those guys can drink, man. Woo!
Yeah, they really can. They can drink any American under the table.
I thought I could drink, but they got me.
They got it top to bottom. I was able to see Aiden O'Brien this morning. His whole
really?
armada of horses was out on the track for the first time.
Love that.
It is a commanding presence when he has all.
I would love to see that in person. I've been working at the Kentucky Derby and all that, but I'm not a morning person, and I probably could go back there. But I'm just like, one of these times I'm going to get my ass out of bed and I'm going to go in the morning so I can watch that.
Next year, the Breeders' Cup is at Keeneland, so you have a chance. It's not
I'm
that
going.
far away.
Yeah, I'm not flying to Cali this year, but I did a couple years ago when it was at Santa Anita. But I definitely am going to be at Keeneland for sure.
I'll be there at Keeneland. I'll be there early. I got to go to the track kitchen and got to see Aiden's Army, assuming I'll see you as well, and all of our other horse racing friends. But to get back to the juvenile turf, it is a very contentious race, and with Stade drawing so wide, you got to think, even though Henri Matisse won this last year from post position 13, you got to think there's still a chance that we're able to, beat this favorite in Stade with a lot of improving 2-year-olds who could certainly get better in their next start. Another one that's looked really good in the mornings. They're all going to look really good in the mornings.
Yeah.
But is this horse that I saw this morning, Ardesia, I believe is how you pronounce it. Second last time out to Mission Central. If I could, say words, that'd be really nice.
Isn't it fun when it's your job to talk and your mouth doesn't work? I love that.
Exactly. It's one of my favorites. Mission Central for Oisin Murphy. This one's second last time out on British Champions Day at Ascot. That was about 2 weeks ago. So a little bit of a quick turnaround, but has had that kind of steady campaign where every 2 to 3 weeks this horse seems to be running. This is another one I think could take a step up. Has to stretch about 2 more furlongs than what he has. But again, these Euros can typically stretch that a little bit longer just because the going that they go on is so much tougher overseas than it is here. So that's another one at 15-1 that I thought could take a step up. But very competitive group, especially if you're willing to try and beat that favorite in Stade drawn post position 14.
What about stark contrast? The 8, it's 30-1, obviously, but if you can make a case for our horse, my little Indiana winning horse, that horse ran in a grade 3 and stretched out at Santa Anita and won by a length. I don't know much about that race or who was in it, but there's a couple of horses in here that were in that race and kind of got a little bit of a wide trip. It was a shorter field at 5, though. This is going to be way tougher, but this is a tough race because these horses have all obviously it's a Breeders' Cup. That's the point, right, Rachel? But you look at them, and when they're young horses like this, and they've been running in grade 3s, and they're improving, and they've been finishing first or second or third, it's almost like closing. I always say that on the simulcast. It's almost like you gotta close your eyes and throw a dart at the board to nail down who could possibly be live that day. I mean, they could just feel good.
You're 100% correct. These are races where that paddock analysis I think is key because you see these 2-year-olds where
they're acting. Yes.
And it's by far the biggest day and the biggest crowd that they're ever going to see, whether they're from Europe or not. And you got to just see how they're behaving on the day. So many of these runners look exactly the same. You brought up a good point with stark contrast. That maiden breaking performance at 3-1. My co-host Jackson, who just had to drive to work before this show, so we're going to miss him for this show, but I think we'll see him for the next show. He texted me, he goes, stark contrast. I've been waiting for this horse to go 2 turns on the grass. And I was like, okay, sold. Bet this horse. Obviously just got a couple ticks over 3-1 that day, but I'll happily take that. came right back out to repeat in the Zuma Beach at just about the same price.
Yeah,
However, was not a favorite in that event. That was very professional. This horse has come along really well for Michael McCarthy, and he can certainly train these 2-year-olds up. You see these paired up Beyer tops and these paired up speed figures. I'm not sure what you use, but for me, when I see the paired up Beyer figures, and along with Jackson and along with many others, that typically indicates a step forward for that runner. So I'm hoping to see just that with from Stark Contrast as well on Friday, where I think a bomb horse could absolutely win this, and you can make a case for just about anybody.
Yeah, you really could. And when you throw, I'm telling you, when you throw the European horses in there, it just totally mixes up the race, I think, too, because that's another thing that you just don't know. You hope that they're not going to mind going longer than they have been and stuff, but sometimes they don't. And I honestly, you know what I feel like? Just from, it's just an inkling. It's almost like the Euros either win almost every race, you know what I mean? Like Breeders' Cup is either the story of the Euros, or there's like maybe 1 or 2 on the day, and that's it. There's like no in between. I feel like it's per year whether or not it's going to happen. And I think last year was I think maybe we went to the Winner's Circle 2 years ago for Aiden once. So yeah, it's very hit or miss whether they're going to show up. So it'll be interesting to see for sure Friday what's going to happen.
I agree. You were spot on, because 2 years ago was the year that Auguste Rodin was kind of the main Euro runner that won at Santa Anita. And then, you had horses in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint that for Europe that didn't get the job done. As No Balls won that day. Still the funniest named horse that I think exists right now.
No Balls. I love that horse. He ran here not too long ago.
He did. And then you have a lot of other, failed Euros.
How did that get by?
I have no idea.
I couldn't get. A guy tried to name a horse Rachel's Udders when I was like breastfeeding a long time ago, and they wouldn't approve that. But you're going to approve No Balls? Make it make sense.
There are some certainly questionable names that have made it through the naming approval process, whatever that is. Rachel's Udders is a wild one, but that's pretty funny. And if we're going to allow No Balls and a horse named like Anna Lee or something like that, I mean, we gotta just allow them all, unless you're being you gotta just allow
or something.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're just being outright
slightly sexual.
Exactly.
Like, come on, let it go.
If you're being creative about it, if you're being creative about it, I say allow it. So that's what I would do if I ever own horses and get the chance to name them. I'm gonna try and sneak all sorts of names through the jockey. Like I got to. I have to make it happen.
Yeah, my friend Tiana just ran one today, and it's you are not the father, like from the Maury show. I love that one.
You guys also have Skibbity Riz running in Indy. That is another very funny named horse.
Stop Hammer Time. Dun, dun, dun. She named another one Stop Hammer Time. I thought that was hilarious. And then our friend Ray, we named Tito's Ray because he likes vodka. And then our friend Tracy, she's a lightweight, so she names the horse Two Beer Tracy. So my friends, the trainers here, like, what is that called? Mess with each other by naming their horses. I think that's hilarious.
That's really funny, and I think that just kind of adds to the fun. And I'd imagine your fans like it too, seeing horses with if not ridiculous names after certain people, and I mean that's gotta be hilarious. That's gonna wrap up the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and now we'll move on to the main event. It's going as race number 9 on Saturday. It's the Breeders' Cup Classic, announced this morning. Sovereignty is a maybe right now. He's had a fever last night. It has subsided a little bit, but you gotta think that they're gonna keep a very, very close eye, and everything's gonna have to pretty much go perfect from here on out for him to make the starting gate. However, he's still in there right now. He's drawn post position 6. And we'll start the conversation with him. 6-5 in what is one of the most loaded Breeders' Cup Classic fields in my memory, for sure. I'm not sure about yours, but everybody that I've talked to said this is one for the ages. What are your thoughts on this Breeders' Cup Classic field as a whole? And then what are your thoughts on this surely 3-year-old champion Sovereignty?
Well, first I did talk to my buddy John, who spoke to Bill, and he said that they're going to see if he spikes the temperature again after he's treated, and they're waiting on blood work too. But my buddy John is a clocker at Churchill, and he said that he's thinking you and I were talking about it too. I mean, let's not mess with the guy's health. Like, we'd rather see him be scratched and be okay than them run him sick or whatever. So, I'm not going to go too far into Sovereignty. I mean, we all know he's amazing. If he runs, it's his race to lose. I also had a fan at the Kentucky Derby give me a handmade sovereignty card. Can you guys see that?
Oh, I gotta find
How
mine. I have one of
sick.
those. I have one of those for. Ooh, I don't know who it is though. Someone he wasn't anywhere close.
David Barista, artist David Barista gave it to me. So shout out to him.
Yes.
He did amazing. I love that. It looks kind of like
That is so
graffiti
good.
or like pop art, you know?
Yep.
I keep it right here. It's like one of my prized possessions. But anyway, yeah, he's sovereignty. I mean, what's not to say? I mean, the guy's a beast. If he runs, he has no excuse. The numbers are insane. Everybody used DRF. I like Brisnet. I feel like it gives a little bit more of an overview. It's not specific to certain stuff. However, with that being said, I love the early pace rating that DRF has. Their early pace numbers are like, I pick and choose numbers. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I use like everything for different stuff.
That's good. Then you get
you
get an average of everything. You get a good feel that way.
For first time starters, I use Equinedge. They have this growth strength ratio percentage that is chef's kiss. And Brisnet for everything else, and then the early pace from DRF. But yeah, I mean, what else is to be said that hasn't already been said about him? He's a beast. That being said, do you want to talk about sovereignty, or do you want to go on to who else we like in there?
Let's go on to who else we like, because I think enough. You kind of said you said the main point on sovereignty. Yeah. He's sovereignty. If he runs, he is he is the most likely winner in this race for sure, based on that body of work.
Professional handicappers, you heard it here first.
That's right.
He's sovereignty. The end. Move on.
That's it. Move on. All right. Who would you like to talk about next? We could talk about last year's champion, Sierra Leone, or if anybody else is in your mind.
I'm gonna go. You know what? On these big days when I don't have to work and I'm just betting for fun and I'm not trying to like. I mean, let's face it. I'm a track analyst, so I get paid to tell you who's the most likely winner. If a favorite is a favorite that I think is deserving of it, I'm not gonna go against that horse in my picks. Just because it's the favorite. Do I want it, am I going to try to mix in a long shot to sweeten that up for the public? Yes. That being said, when it's my day off and I'm going to be at home drinking beer and trick-or-treating with my kids, betting on my phone, I'm going with the 20 and 30 to ones like we just talked about, not Juvenile, okay, baby? Mm-hmm. But this one, the two, Baeza has always been a favorite of mine. I just don't think that he's gotten... he's been running against journalism sovereignty, and yeah, he's not as good as them, but I think he's got a chance to, I mean, I'm not going to say if sovereignty stays in here, he's going to win by any means, but this is one that I'm definitely going to be putting some money on across the board, just in case he comes out and the whole plan and landscape of, this race changes. The Parks Derby, a grade 1, just won nicely. They've picked nice spots for him over and over and over again. And he just tries every time. I think that's why I love him. I thought he was going to run better in the Belmont, but again, he gets a wide trip. He's with sovereignty and journalism and all of it. And it's just like, it's not really shocking. If they ever both came out of a race, like, what would Baeza do? He'd be like, okay, this is easy. This is a cakewalk. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I also, nobody really, he did get some action on Kentucky Derby Day, I do believe, but I loved him before. And then after Kentucky Derby, then there weren't very many people that were talking about him. After Kentucky Derby, then everybody's on my Baeza bandwagon. I'm like, hey, I loved him first. So yeah, he's the one that I'm going to bet. But obviously, and we can talk about, everyone else, but it's just this is a saucy race. Sierra Leone, you already mentioned. Journalism's 10 to 1 on this line. It's just crazy. This race is going to be so fun to watch.
It's going to be the race of the year for sure to be able to see this one unfold for us. But to stay on Baeza real quick, on debut, obviously, this one's mare is Puka, who also threw Mage, who also threw Dornoch, who has thrown, multiple classic winners. And Baeza's still looking to get that classic win. He did get the win in the Pennsylvania Derby, which is the grade 1, but he certainly looks to put that other nail in the coffin with the Breeders' Cup Classic win, which I don't think is entirely out of the realm of possibility. That run in the Jim Dandy with Hector Barrios aboard, that was he was within a length of sovereignty. That was, journalism was 3 lengths behind sovereignty in the Belmont Stakes and was about a length and a quarter, length and a half behind in the Kentucky Derby. That's really the, that's the closest anyone's really come to Sovereignty in quite some time. I think that speaks a lot. I think that ride by Hector, especially in the Jim Dandy, and you can always make the argument maybe Sovereignty wasn't, 100% cranked up or whatever, but Sovereignty is a very intelligent and a very strong horse, and he's going to run his race every time. And Baeza did everything in his power to get close to that horse, to get the jump on him. And I think Baeza's running style maybe, helps him a little bit more than Journalism's run style we've seen. Although Journalism does have the jockey change now to Jose Ortiz. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but I think maybe that could get him a little bit closer to the pace early on.
Wait, I didn't have that change. Who's on?
Jose Ortiz is riding Journalism instead of Umberto Rispoli.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
That was kind of one of those news. I know I love Umberto too, with being a West Coast guy.
Sweet. Yeah,
he is.
I've met him like a couple times in passing, but I got to talk to him and his wife and meet his kids at Breeders' Cup a couple years ago. They are just lovely people. You gotta love
awesome
when you meet people and they're not a-holes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah, okay, but that's great. Jose has been. Hasn't he been on fire lately? Am I making that up?
Yeah. Jose's been unconscious lately. And let's not forget, Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners and Michael McCarthy, they have a long history with Jose Ortiz. Eclipse, has won with not Creator, but it was a different horse that I'm blanking on from a while ago. Maybe someone in the chat can help me out. But also, Eclipse Thoroughbred and Jose Ortiz teamed up to get a Breeders' Cup win in 2021 with Aloha West when that was out of Del Mar in the filly and mare sprint. So that is a combo that we've seen work well many times. So I don't think it's super unusual. I think maybe, with this likely being Journalism's last race before he heads off to stud, maybe they got to just try and switch something up, try and maybe see if getting him a little bit closer to the pace. I mean, right now, he's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't with Sovereignty. If you get the jump on him, you really got to hope to hold off a freight train that's chasing you down. And if he gets the jump on you, good luck catching him. So they're probably just going to try something new. I saw Umberto today. He was smiling. He was laughing. He's having a good time. I know he has plenty of other live mounts, including Johannes in the Grade 1 Turf Mile and plenty of others to speak of. So I'm sure he'll have a successful weekend.
Yeah, business is business. Sometimes you just got to take the... And you know what? You got to switch it up sometimes. I mean, it's quite honestly, horses are creatures of habit. So maybe this will kind of keep him a little bit more alert or whatever, having somebody new on him. I'm sure, he's going to get on him before this, but you know what I mean? Like during the race. And Sierra Leone, I did not realize how much money. I knew that this horse was $7 million. How did I not know that horse has earned $7 million?
It's not every day. It's not every day that you see a $2.3 million purchase, more than double his lifetime career earnings. But that is what Sierra Leone has done. So with this also being his swan song before he heads off to the breeding shed, you got to imagine they have one big run left in the tank. And the Jockey Club last time also, that you're willing to excuse that effort with the fact that Sierra Leone literally stepped on Irad Ortiz after Irad was bumped off with all the bumping that went on early on in that race.
Where he saved him.
It was where Edgar Zayas, where he kind of sat, side saddle on Edgar Zayas' horse. And, shout out to Edgar Zayas. He didn't, immediately kick him off, but and Irad obviously was okay coming out of that, which was nothing short of miraculous. I can't imagine it feels good getting stepped on by a 1,200-pound animal.
It sucks so bad. I've been stepped on and kicked. It's not fun.
Doesn't sound fun.
Look at that work going into this race too. 48-3.
Without a doubt, that was over the Saratoga course. He's now out at Del Mar. I've seen him gallop the last couple mornings. He looks as strong as ever. Yes, go.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Del Mar's on my list, okay? And so Indiana girl, right? I've been to a lot of them. You're Mclaughlinl guy. So tell me the difference a little bit. Like how do they play versus each other? I mean, these horses are going around, but they've obviously ran at this track, a lot of them. How much do you feel like that plays a difference?
I would say Del Mar is, at least the dirt track, it's pretty fair. The inside this summer and this whole year has been a little bit tougher. But in terms of the horses shipping in, it's not so much that horses won't handle the dirt track here. It's just you have to make a move at the right time. We have a very short stretch for thoroughbred racing in North America. It's only about 919 feet. So you saw in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic, Sierra Leone had the lead when they turned for home. So basically, if you're within a length of the leader at the quarter pole, you are in the best spot. Or if you have the lead at the quarter pole, you're in a really good position. You need to be
So you don't
very
want to be
much
too far back because the stretch is so short.
exactly. There's just not enough time to make up that sort of run, make that sort of run that's needed. So, Churchill Downs, you'll see a horse make a move 50 yards, 100 yards down the stretch because you still have so much longer to go. At Del Mar, it's completely different. You have to make that move, coming wide, saving ground around the turn, whatever means necessary. It doesn't matter if you go 10 wide. If you manage to get the lead or be within a length of it, you're still coming with momentum. You absolutely are in with a big chance to win, and that's exactly what Sierra Leone did last year. So that's kind of what it takes for those out-of-state runners.
So you know what that makes me think is when you're looking at the juvenile races, if these horses are coming from places like super long stretches, that's kind of a good handicapping angle to remember because they're probably not used to being that quick and going and having to get to the wire, or realize that it's so the jockey's going to have to really be cognizant of that. That's something to play definitely your favorite. Yeah, see, people are probably like, this girl doesn't even know what she's talking about. I am so immersed in Indiana. I try to keep up with what's going on, but I love to get like people like you that you're there. Like that's like, if you wanted to know about Indiana, obviously I could tell you all the little idiosyncrasies, but I don't know that stuff because I don't watch it every day like you do. So definitely you get the big advantage this year. Next year when we talk about it, we'll talk about Keeneland, and then I might know a thing or two.
That's right. You always know a thing or two. And look, yeah, I can tell you that it's about the jockeys, making the move at the right time. And I do think with the Breeders' Cup Classic this deep and contentious, I do think it turns into a bit of a jockey's race with who makes that move, who is the most decisive, and obviously who is going to get the cleanest trip. With that many horses, if they all make that move at the same time, it's not likely that they're all going to be able to get a pass through. Now, I helped you with, the way that Del Mar does things. You have a very long Indiana meet where you're able to see a lot of these horses, from opening day all the way through closing day. So I want to talk about a 3-year-old, and we're going to relate this to Journalism, who last ran in the Pacific Classic. Now, Journalism had a very hard campaign. He ran basically with no time off from the San Felipe in March, and then he ran in April. He ran in May. He ran again in May. He ran in June, obviously completing the Triple Crown schedule. Then he ran in July, and then he ran in August. So he is running every, whether it's 2 weeks to 5 weeks, pretty much like clockwork. And then they kind of dialed it back after the Pacific Classic. How much time in a race, basically we'll say about 2 months, because that's about what he's going to have off. How much maturing can a horse as a 3-year-old do in the 2 months time off when they're not racing and when they're just able to kind of finally take a breath after a long campaign like that?
I think that is so, so important. And I'm not a trainer, and I'm not going to criticize McCarthy. Obviously knows what he's doing. But yeah, I would have given him maybe a little break in between those before that, to be honest with you. I mean, these horses, a 3-year-old, like you said, they're young. It's new to, not new to them. They're not a two-year-old, obviously, but I think breaks are very important mentally for young horses, in my opinion. I'm not going to turn around after I got thrown off and then rode my horse around a trail all day long. I'm not going to go around and turn around and put a saddle back on him the next weekend. I'm going to give him a weekend off and a few weeks before we do that again. Just me ponying like a younger horse, he would stop and stare at me because, he's not a working horse. That's why they work them in the morning. That's why you give them exercise and stuff. You have to build that stamina. If he's in race after race after race after race, at some point, you're going to need to give him a break to eat some grass and relax and kind of mentally recoup from the grind of it. So I love this break that he gave him coming into this race, and I think it was extremely important. And if he didn't have that, then I think I would probably be like, oh, I don't know, because I don't hey, I don't I got you a hat.
That's not my girlfriend.
Oh,
that is our other roommate, Jenny. My girlfriend's in the other room. Jenny, can you tell Liv that Rachel got her a hat?
Yeah.
Please, thanks.
She asked me to come in, so
She asked you to come in? That's so
no,
funny.
she didn't want to come on the live. Do opposites attract?
Oh, yeah.
I love that for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's various clips throughout our shows where you'll see this door open and there's just a crouched human, and that's her just trying to be incognito, but it doesn't work very well.
I thought
But
you were swatting a fly. I was like, what is he
No.
doing? Is he getting attacked by a bug? Because you kept going like this, and I'm like, do I need to send
you
help?
know, they shove their face in the window pane right here, and they're just like, "Can we come in?" I was like, "Yes, this is not the most professional
This is why I stay
show."
home. Or
Yes.
at work. This is why I
Yes.
stay at work, because if I'm at home, you'd hear like, "Mom, can I have goldfish?" Like on the door every 2 seconds.
That's okay. That's part of life. But sorry, to go back to Indiana, or to go back to these 3-year-olds as they mature.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah, very important. And I love that he got a break. And to be honest with you, I don't think that not at this level, obviously it's a little different because they pick the spots and stuff, and these are like elite rate, $8 million horses or whatever we said. But I do always get a little leery when it's like 3 in a row or 4 in a row at high level races. I mean, that's not the case for him. He's kind of been bouncing between first and second, obviously, but I sometimes will be like, everybody's on this horse that's won 4 times in a row once a month for the whole meet, and I'm like, I'm going against that horse because I own horses, I'm around horses, and I know what it takes to keep them operating at that level. And at some point they, you got to give them a break. So
Right.
I definitely love that 2-month freshening for him. I think that's key. And yeah, he was running back to back. I mean, you listed the dates. It was like bing, bang, boom, bing, bang, boom. And I mean, look at that. Just these horses, all of them are just, this is one of my most favorite Breeders' Cups in a while, I think, to be honest with you.
Same here. It's one of mine for sure. I'm excited to see journalism just because I think if he really did take a step up and mature, I've talked to Michael McCarthy through the Triple Crown schedule and through all those races just to kind of check in and see how journalism was doing. And after the Preakness, I was like, man, that must have taken a lot out of him. And it was just like, I mean, he came back and he loved being in that fight. And he's just a horse that loves being, in the thick of things, being able to really fight things down to the wire. And you can see in all of his races, he is trying till the end. And, he didn't get discouraged when he had to, finish second to Sovereignty those couple times. And then, towards the end of the Pacific Classic, he clearly was not getting first, and he wasn't a threat to lose second to Ultimate Gamble. So he was able to just kind of jog it in, but he tries all the way down to the wire. So you got to love that heart that journalism has, in him, and the mind that journalism has. So hopefully off this freshening, maybe that helps him improve a couple points. And I think that's maybe all it could take. Last thought before we get you out of here is we have Forever Young, who the Japanese import. He ran third in this race last year, third in the Kentucky Derby. He is such a hard trying horse. He was campaigned earlier this year, finishing third in the the Dubai World Cup behind Hit Show and Mixto. Mixto is the horse on my intro song, ridden by Kyle Frey, that won the Pacific Classic for absolutely no reason. And he's up there because we're friends with the O'Neills, and they're awesome people. So I found a reason to throw Mixto into the fray. And then Hit Show, who's not typically, the top grade 1 horse that you think of going these longer distances, but it was their day in Dubai. Then they gave him the summer off, as the summers in Japan are pretty hot. Came back a couple weeks ago in Japan, just as a prep race with this race always in mind. Won that race easily. Now he's here. He's looked good over the track. He's never like the flashiest horse, but he's one who's always a hard trier. He's never been out of the trifecta in his 12 starts. I don't know if your money's going to go on Forever Young or if you have a horse that you're gravitating towards in here, but this is a big classic. And obviously we know all the horses as we follow racing all year, because that's our job.
I love about that horse specifically. Wouldn't it just be awesome if he just won like against this group? I would be such a cool story. But put up last year, and my Brisnet speed figure says 111 at Del Mar, at a mile and a quarter. The Travers for Sovereignty was a 112, but I used the Brisnet speed figure. So, and he romped and won by 10. That was a third for him against Sierra Leone, Fierceness, and everything at Del Mar in the Classic last year, which obviously we're talking about. So why wouldn't he? I mean, why wouldn't you put money on this horse? That horse obviously tries really hard. He's done nothing wrong. And I think honestly, we could be looking at a year for all these Euro horses or Japan horse, you know what I mean? Like imports, because every one of them looks strong. They're not question marks, more like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna run. Most of them you can kind of tell what they're gonna do. So yeah, Forever Young, that would be awesome if he just came in and beat this group for once. Like, that would be such a cool story. This race might set up like that. If Sovereignty comes out, it could be any number of them, which would almost, I don't want obviously Sovereignty to come out, but it
None of
would
us do, yeah.
almost be, yeah, like more fun to bet, I guess, would say, when you don't have like a huge 6 favorite. Still gonna be fun to bet, even if you have Sovereignty, you mix a bunch of stuff together, but it would be almost even more fun, I think, like dramatic.
I agree. The drama would certainly keep building. And to your point, using the Brisnet speed figures on time form, Forever Young ran a 131 last year in the Breeders' Cup Classic, whereas in the Travers Sovereignty ran a 134. So again, very close on those pace figures. So there is plenty of room to kind of make up that gap in the space. And last question before I get you out of here. We've seen as the year has gone on, obviously 3-year-olds eventually face older horses. Bracket Buster and Gosger this past weekend at Keeneland, given they're kind of that B tier of 3-year-olds. They're not holding the candle to the Journalism or Sovereignty.
Yeah.
They got dusted by Hit Show. They got dusted by Rattle and Roll. Both of those are good horses. Both of those are older horses. How do you, and of course, Fierceness beat Journalism by open lengths in the Pacific Classic as well. So the older horses still kind of hold that maturity edge. In your mind, do you think that that's going to play a big factor in the Breeders' Cup Classic, or is Sovereignty just a 4-year-old in a 3-year-old's body?
I literally I didn't get to work this in, but another thing that my buddy who's been watching all these races was like, you need to go back since he, and watch the Travers and then look at him now. He is carrying so much. He looks like a complete, and he's right. I looked at it and I was like, holy crap. He's just bigger and he's stronger. Now, with that being said, that's just the Sovereignty part. I'm not one of those ones that will go, oh, this is a younger going up against older. He's got no shot. All my friends here say that shit. And I'm like, dude, no. I'm like, no, I have seen it many times. You might not pay attention and it might not happen. It might not happen more often than not, but it happens plenty that a young horse will come out and smash the older horses. So I've never been a handicapper. You're not going to, very rarely, I might have said it twice in my life, have I said in my 15 years of handicapping, oh, he's younger going up against older. I don't care about that. If you've got speed, you've got form, unless you're going up against like horse of the, you know what I mean? Like it's a weird condition where we've got really young horses against like a beast, like older horse or whatever. Of course, there's given that, there's always exceptions, but I think that if you're in form and you're feeling good, or like my good old Indiana trainers say, home and cooled out is what they say. That horse is home and cooled out. I don't care if you're 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, but I will say there's a very physical difference that you can tell between him, Sovereignty, in that last race and now. I think that little break that we talked about, I think it was even more than like a mental thing, because he's definitely looked stronger for sure when I looked at it.
Mentally, he's always been there, having that time to physically grow up. He's had longer off than Journalism has. So if Journalism grew up physically, imagine what a horse like Sovereignty could do as well. So, again, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me. This was a ton of fun. We talked 2 races. It's been about 45 minutes. It felt like it was about 5 minutes.
Yeah, but that's been 45 minutes. I'm almost late for trivia.
Yeah, you got to go to.
You.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the hat. Thanks for the shirt. And thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back in about 12 minutes with Matt Dinnerman. Rachel, we hope to have you on again soon. Enjoy the rest of Indiana.
I'm free in 3 weeks. Our closing day, I will tell you guys, is November 13th. So after that, anytime you need somebody to fill in and talk about Rachel's, breastfeeding or goldfish or, Maury, just call your girl. You know who.
Absolutely. As soon as we need to talk Rachel's udders, goldfish, or anything, or getting bucked off a horse while drinking a beer, I know who to contact. Thank you, everybody. Rachel, take care. All the best. Go kill it at trivia today. Good luck with the rest of the meet as well. See everybody in about 10 minutes with Matt Dinnerman. Thank you.